a lot of responsibility. Trying to change the world. Politics, music, man, something's gotta work. And do it all, I never give up on my people. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to today's podcast, Politics and Music. I'm your favorite host of all time, Andre Rainey, the former mayor of the great city of Peekskill, current chair of the National Parents Organization New York affiliate, and the president of Fathers Are Important, based right here in New York. And today is an exclusive show. I have a person that I admire, that I look up to, that I appreciate here to share some information on his side of what's going on. I want you all to welcome a good friend of mine, Councilman Rob Scott. Good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon, Dre. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to see you. It's an honor to have you here on the show. And more importantly, it's good to have somebody like you in office who's willing to give clarity to what's going on. So there's a lot of stuff circulating your name right now in the hometown, the city of Peekskill.
Definitely.
So we're gonna clear some of that up today. Hopefully, the people who watch this will regain the trust that they have in you, if there's anybody that's lost any trust, and those of the followers out there who just are supporters of yours can have more context on what they're supporting. So first thing I want to ask before I get into any of the questions is, how are you?
How am I? I mean, I'm doing better. You know, I mean, it's been a long 3-year fight. This started back in 2023 with these accusations, and I mean, we fought it for 3 years. But I'm doing a lot better now that this is pretty much behind me now.
You come to an end.
Yeah.
All right, so I wrote some questions down. Normally when I do my interviews, I write 2 or 3 questions down. I kind of just go off the top of the heart. But I wanted to get some specific questions asked today.
Okay.
Because this is not just an interview for me. This is for people, which I know you stand for. So the first question is, many people in Peekskill have stated on social media and other platforms that they may feel betrayed by the allegations of forged signatures, including claims that deceased residents' names appeared on your petition. So, can you walk us through exactly how this happened, and whether there's any truth to knowing that you submitted false signatures at all?
Well, let's just start out by saying definitely did not know that the document was tampered with. When I first started this process, I was being bullied, and there were people trying to deter me from running, and but I still pushed forward because at the end of the day, we have children, and I would never tell my child to not do something because someone else doesn't want you to.
Right.
And so, and this was way before there were any petitions even being collected. So there was already a level of contention, within these circles, to try to deter me from running. And so once the petitions were put in, started receiving more phone calls about these claims, you see. And, I always, maintained my innocence and said, I don't know what this is about. I just figured they were just trying to scare me or something like that. So I continued to pursue on, and so yeah, to say that, I was aware or knew or had anything to do with it, no.
I think, and I'm glad you said that, because that, to me, that's the most important part of this entire debacle that you're facing right now is the intent behind it. And there was no intent to mislead or betray the people.
Of course not.
It's a lot of politics. And the thing that bothers me the most is when things like this happen, instead of holding people accountable who set people up in situations like this, instead they use the term so loosely nowadays, especially, that's politics. And I'm not going to speak on your behalf or for you, but as a person who's experienced this, running my campaigns, when the Republicans did certain things to me during the campaign season, especially, the Democrats went up in arms. It was this, I can't believe they would do that. They would say that about you, and they would do these real malice, hateful things. But when a Democrat does it, rub it off the shoulder, this is politics.
Yeah. And I mean, and that term actually was going around.
Yeah.
You know, where it was like, oh, you know, it's just politics. Don't take it personal. This is just the way it is. You know, which again is perplexing to me because these decisions that are being made, regardless to party, you know, when people are making these decisions and just us, you know, chalking it up to, oh, this is just politics. It's like, no, this is having an effect on someone's life,
right? On
someone's family, on someone's business, right? You know, on their ability to you know, take care of their families. So, you know, that idea that, you know, it's just politics is, I would say, is probably one of the things that I dislike about politics, you know, and the hate that it creates. Yeah. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've encountered individuals that, you know, just because of something that they might have heard, you know, would just cut you, and it's like, who'd you hear from? You know, you know. I remember one time. This is actually early on when I was running for council, and when I decided to run with the Democrats, you know, a good friend of mine, you know, he put a rumor out about me, and it actually got back to some serious people, and you know, they came to the store and, you know, they were like, "Hey, Rob, like, what's going on? I heard you were saying these things about me." I'm like, I never say anything, you know? And so I said, well, who told you this? This person. I said, I will call him right now.
Yeah,
call him right now.
Hold accountability.
And we called them up, and, you know, they came down to the store, and we got down to the bottom of it, you know? And but the reasoning behind why the person created that rumor, it was just a theater in his own mind.
Basis, yeah.
It was nothing that I never said any of it, you know, but he was just so angry with me that he thought that my decision was like a slap in his face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like how? So I think really we should be going back to, you know, because back in the days it was about, you don't tell people who you vote for or your religion, right? They say keep religion and politics out of your workspace, out of your friendships, because it has a way of divorcing us from
our core values.
From core values, but also just like objective truths. Yeah. You know, because you got three truths in the world. You know, you got political truth, you have personal truth, and then you have objective truth. You know, and oftentimes when decisions are being made politically, you know, when we look back on it, it usually wasn't the right decision. Yeah. and I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, absolutely.
From putting people in ovens, right?
Yeah.
At the time, it made sense. No, it never made sense.
That never made sense. No. It made sense to some people at the time.
Correct.
100%.
Or, you know, enslaving people and using them as cattle and you know, and them being property.
At one point in time, to people that made sense.
Correct.
I mean, government at that.
Correct. So
very good point.
That political mind oftentimes gets us in trouble, and we become lost. So, you know, so yeah, I think in time, you know, this will age the way it's supposed to age. Because wrong is wrong, bro.
Yeah, beautiful way to say it. You know, I appreciate that answer. As a person who was in position, I'm still trying to find the contractor when I sold the county center. But we're never going to find it, but I'm still looking for it.
Yes.
So moving along, you know, the Democratic Party, some of your political allies, you know, a lot of them distanced themselves immediately when this headline came out. I remember getting a phone call and a couple of text messages about what happened to you, and it bothered me. I think I took it so personal because you were one of the first few people to make me hold myself accountable to politics and our people. And I'll never forget when I came to your store and you was like, you know, you told me you've never come check me out. You've never come even supported me, and I've been a black business here for years. And it made me feel like maybe I wasn't doing all that I could do because you opened my eyes to it. And you don't get that. You get a lot of yes people when you get in office, especially when you're doing decent, you know, but you really grounded me again. And that's why I was so happy to see you get involved. So when I saw the headlines and I got the messages, my first thought was, well, how can we help him? Because one, we know what this is. Two, we know his character and what kind of person he is. And three, we know what he's going to do for this community as long as he's in positions like this. Mm-hmm. But question is, how did you feel about the support that you may or may not have gotten from your colleagues or allies in government?
It's because the thing is that I don't want to make it about Democrats. Again, it's just more of a political mind. Mm-hmm. And like I said, just what politics does to people. And oftentimes, people don't have the courage. They don't have the courage, to do what's right. Oftentimes they just do what politically makes sense.
Yeah.
So, at the time, supporting me just didn't make sense. So, it's something that I try to just, again, what keeps me sane is just understanding just human behavior. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes, we don't make decisions that are in our best interest. So again, I don't want to make it about Democrats, but again, politics is just, mess people up.
Yeah, it's the mind state. That's a powerful. I don't even I might even kind of take a breather now. Yeah. But they always, what I will say, they always tell us once you get to a certain level, or even after a certain amount of time in politics, they always try to remind us not to take things personal. And my first term, I had a hard time with that. People who used to come to my grandmother's house and eat breakfast with us were attacking me because I was running with Democrats instead of Republicans, and it was like, damn, you know me personally. So, but to hear that, it's a level of maturity that I think I didn't get until probably towards the end of my second term. We had the homeless shelter challenge. That's when the maturity level had to sink in because I had to be patient. So to get that from you in your first term.
Yeah. And I think if anything, what may be hurtful is that you want to believe that people are being forthright and honest with the face that they put on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, councilman, we're with you, and Democrats together, so like you want to believe it, but yeah, I mean, even the council's decision to ask me to step down, on one hand, again, I could take it personal, right? But I understand that, it's something that they feel that they need to do politically. I don't agree with it. If it was me, I wouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Me, I would say, what are the facts? And just give people the facts, and that's that. But unfortunately, people are going to make those decisions because, again, it's politically, it's political. Okay. Now, we'll see how we move forward. Yeah. If it goes past that, then maybe I can take it a little more personal. Yeah. But as of right now, these people are just checking the box, bro.
Gotcha.
That's how I look at it.
And your first term as councilman ends end of this year.
It ends in weeks, like really.
You got about 2 months.
2 months, 8 weeks,
2 months left. And I wouldn't even say 2 months because you got the holidays coming.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The schedule changes during the holiday season.
You're right.
You got a couple of weeks.
A few more meetings.
Yeah. So, all right. So with the accusations swirling around, public opinion somewhat divided based on what I've seen on social media, my inbox, text messaging, and a few calls. Some that I missed, I apologize, but I'll get back to you all. How is this case, or what was the impact this case has had on your personal life and family?
I mean, there's definitely been irreparable damage, I would say, because there are people that will only see blue skies. I mean, this is something that this is just a philosophy I have about blue skies. And, it's one of these things where even if you explain to someone that, like if you ask someone, is the sky blue, what they're going to say? Yeah, sky's blue, right? Yeah. But in actuality, it's not blue, right? You know, it's because of the UV rays that are coming from, you know, the cosmos into the planet.
You get the deep side.
but the thing is that it is that deep. It is that deep.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that, but yeah, I don't want to get off on a tangent. But just as far as my family is concerned, it's, as you can see, I love philosophy. Yeah. So you know, I mean, I have it written on my wall. You know, but yeah, I mean, the family. I mean, it was tough. You know, it was tough. I mean, who wants to see their dad, you know, being dragged through the mud like that? You know, my daughter was in high school at the time, and you know, kids can be cruel. So I mean, you know, it was tough for her. You know, and then you know, and then my wife and you know, people finding out things about what's going on and maybe at her job. You know, it can be embarrassing. Mm-hmm. But you know, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, we just gotta stay strong and stay focused on what's most important. You know, which is being there for each other, and you know, focusing on, you know, the community. And you know, just my vision. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it was rough, and it is rough because I mean, it's, you know, we're still dealing with this. Mm-hmm. But we'll be all right. We don't have a choice. Yeah.
Even when you're not fully all right, you have to be all right.
Yeah, you really don't have a choice. Yeah.
People depend on you. So this is going back kind of to the first question, because I think it's more importantly than anything for the people to know that this was not. Like there were no political operatives or anyone in your ear saying, let's cut corners, let's try to get some signatures. Doesn't matter who the signatures are, let's just win. There was no advice or influence like that at all during your campaign.
No, definitely not. You know, these signatures, again, were collected at my store. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and anybody that's ever petitioned before, they understand the process is a very open process. And so, and that obviously, you know, actually you were at attendance at one of the events that we threw. And yeah, you just have a table and a laptop, everything set up. And, you know, if somebody wants to come and sign a petition, yeah, they can sign a petition. I mean, there's even if we ran it back today, you know, there really is no defense to someone coming in and giving a false statement, you know, because the process does not, require you to confirm someone's identity. So at the end of the day, yeah, there's not really much you can do, and you know, collecting it in that way. You know, in hindsight, I guess moving forward, if I was able to do this again, maybe I would have a camera set up. Yeah. But as far as, you know, the way that this process goes, it's no different than when you go vote for the governor or vote for mayor or vote for the president of the United States of America. You know, you just walk in, you say your name, and then you sign off. So, and collecting petitions is the same way. You know, going into it, I didn't have any preconceived expectations. You know, you see things on television and you hear stories, but you know, it really has shown me, you know, what the rules of engagement is, and so, you know, it's and I don't like it. You know, I don't like the hate that it creates. And so, so for me, I mean, it's affected me, you know, in a way where I'm not as hopeful, you know, about it, because we just don't have enough people in it. And I think that situations like this, it ultimately deters, you know, good-hearted people from getting involved.
There's a lot of confusion in the city of Peekskill right now. Some people feel like they support you. Some people are just kind of trying to wait to see what the outcome is, but you know what the outcome is now, thankfully. You know, but there are some people like myself who are, you know, diehard Councilman Rob Scott supporters. You know, and when the news first hit the headlines, you know, my first response was, okay, who set him up? Who does this benefit? And how can we support them, you know, to get through this? You know, when we see our elected officials in higher ranking positions whenever something happens to them, they're quick to, put pictures up. I stand with this person. I support this person. Local politics is like, he on his own. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So, but there are people who do believe in you. There are people who haven't turned their back despite what the headlines may have read, despite what the community may have put out on social media. What do you say to those people? How do you talk to them?
Well, I mean, for one, I just want to thank them for the support. Definitely. But what I would say is that this case was not just about signatures. This case was about me standing up and standing up to those powers, the powers that are not seen on the news, the powers that are not seen out in public, and so you're going to have forces that are not in your favor and don't have your best interests at heart and could care less about your family, your business. They could care less. It's just another day in politics. And so, I was kind of dancing with that energy. As some people say, dancing with the devil, as they say. And, I fought it for 3 years. And, we were on our way to trial and they offered this to me. And so as a family, we decided to accept the offer of obstruction and disorderly conduct, not of forgeries or, tampering with paperwork or anything of that nature.
Anything the headlines read.
Yeah, the headlines straight lies, but to the question about to my supporters, I just want to thank you for supporting me. And again, the work continues on. People say, oh, well, what are you going to do next? It's like, I've been living my life way before politics, and I will continue to live my life. We have some major announcements coming up for the city of Peekskill, historic announcements. So definitely stay tuned. Again, vote for me, I'll fight for you. That's just really what it is. Because the one thing I realized in this situation that, they don't really want our voices. They want our votes, but they don't want our voices. And so oftentimes, when you're trying, you may have ambition and you may have ideas and things that you want to contribute to, but there's a lot that goes on, Trey. There's so much, and this is just the first of, I think, many conversations, because I think that the community deserves to have access to me and to talk to me and discuss whatever you want to discuss. I'm an open book, okay? So I don't have an issue discussing anything that people want to discuss. But the things that get said to you, man, it's unreal. And people have no idea. They have an idea because we see movies and things like that, but it's like to experience it in real time.
It's different.
It's like, wow, this is really real. And so you're forced with having to make a decision on whether or not you're going to bend to that. And I just wasn't interested in bending. So, it's a lesson learned. We understand it's a long road. 3 years. I'm probably about 40,000 in the hole right now. So it's disgusting. It's not for everybody, but at the end of the day, Rob was just, standing up for what's right. And we all have children, just like you have children. And I would never tell my child to not pursue their goals just because someone else doesn't want you to. It's not, they don't even have a real reason why. It's just because they don't want you to. So
it's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. When you're actually fighting for a good cause, you get challenged, and at that time, you may not look like you're on the right side of history, but later on down the line, people will start to realize that now I see what he was doing 5 years ago.
Correct. And all those different scenarios, the common thread, regardless of what the cause was, because those are different conversations, politics is right there. Politics is the reasoning behind why we're making those decisions, you see? And so, politics, again, just has a way of divorcing us from our objective truths, and people do things that, probably isn't the best thing, right? whether it be with children or it could be anything, but politically, it may make sense, i.e. slavery, i.e. Holocaust, i.e. I mean, so many different things.
All government, yeah. That's a powerful point, actually.
I've given so much to the city. I have fathers that come up to me. I'm out in the supermarket and shaking my hand and thanking me, for donating money to the kids in college. I mean, we've donated over $25,000 just to Peekskill kids alone, and so, this was a nasty thing that was done. But, at the end of the day, there was a point that was trying to be made about who's in charge. And
listen, I'll say this. More than anything, I'm glad this hasn't had an impact on your character. And setbacks like this, it can do one of two things. It can push people further away, or it can, make people even stronger. And one of my favorite quotes I had in my office before was by Maya Angelou. The quote was, "If you want me to do something, just tell me I can't do it."
Yeah.
And that's enough to motivate me. That's how I even got into politics in the first place. So it's not the story for the time.
Yes.
But hearing the outcome of the case and seeing where you are mentally now is a blessing, I will say. Because 3 years going back and forth for something that you're accused of doing, allegations, and the community turns their back on you before even knowing the outcome of the case, and the social media, the local papers, happy to get clicks, put every chance they get, they put a statement out about what happened with you in this case, or any type of negative promo. But I will say that good people are hard to keep into politics. There are some really good people who stick around for a pretty long time, but they kind of just conform to the norm and kind of just ride the wave rather than actually creating the current. So hopefully there's going to be more of Rob Scott in the political world.
I mean, hey, we got to see. At the end of the day, I definitely understand what the rules of engagement are now. And that, it's just nasty. Nobody cares about each other, and so, it's tough, but, we have to see what the future holds. At the end of the day, it's not something that I can do alone. It doesn't matter what my aspirations are. You are representative. We live in an electoral republic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so you are representing individuals, representing people. So, I would need the support from people to pursue whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to continue to do the work that I've already been doing for the past, I don't know how many years in the city of Peekskill, probably 10 years in the city of Peekskill. And we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. It's a wild place, though, man.
Yeah.
For no reason. I don't even. It's just, I don't know what it just does something to the mind. It's just like, it's almost, I would say, worse in the streets. It is.
The crazy thing is, everybody that says they know what happened or they believe they know what happened to you, they'll look at you and say, "I can't believe you're going through that." But at the same time, the next sentence will be, "This is why I don't get in politics." They realize how dirty this game is, and they still get influenced by the dirt that the game produces. And that's the part that used to blow my mind. When I heard that I sold the Kylie Center, it was like, of all the things that you can hear about Andre that you're going to believe, it's that. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is when it comes to this industry. But hopefully this brought some clarity to the case and to where you stand and what your aspirations are. But I want to just say thank you so much for being on this show with me. It means a lot to me to have somebody like you on this platform, as well as giving clarity to the people out there who may have had questions, concerns, or doubts. One of the things that I do every episode is I let the guests say a few words to the people without me in the screen. So as we close this show off, I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few words, and and then we'll wrap it up. So, but thank you for being here with us this evening, Rob.
Thanks for having me, Dre. Hey, how's it going? Councilman Scott here, and to all those who have supported me, just want to thank you. It's been a long road fighting this, and I've given so much to the city. Raised my family here. I brought my business to the city. I've ran for public office in this city. I love Peekskill. I feel like Peekskill has so much potential. And, it's just unfortunate that we had to deal with this. But we live and we learn, and we take our lessons and we move forward. I did not forge anything. Anything that you read about that is just a lie. And again, I just want to thank the voters that actually helped put me in office 4 years ago. And just the community as a whole, just know that I will continue to do the work, to do what's best, for the city. And I want to thank you for your time. Peace. I wasn't, I kind of walked in here like, well, everybody's here for me. Like, never pled guilty to fraud, never pled guilty to any forgeries, tampering with any documents. At the end of the day, I pled guilty to a disorderly conduct, which is the equivalent to a traffic violation.